Good morning, beautiful people. Some of you questionable looking people as well. I got an email from Terry Mack with a question, and it's a good question, which is why I figured I would share it with y'all. His question was something to the effect of, paraphrasing here, what do you do if you're new to this, you live in an apartment, and you have no money, but you feel convicted to be prepared? Well, I got about 15 to 18 minutes of my time that I'm happy to share with y'all, so let's do that. If you live in an apartment, I'm going to make the assumption that you live in a populated area. If you live in a populated area, I'm going to make the assumption that you're going to want to get out of that populated area if and when things go south. So, the first thing that comes to my mind is the bug out bag. Excuse me, or inch bag. Inch bag is I'm never coming home bag. Y'all know me, I don't get too caught up in the nomenclature. I just think that it's a really good idea to have a bag with all the things that you're gonna need in it. So regarding a bug out bag, if you don't have money or you don't have much money, there are ways to put together a bug out bag on the cheap. You can get a bag that just get a bag, right? It could be a duffel bag, although I would prefer something with shoulder straps for sure, so you can carry that weight on your shoulders, and if it's a larger bag, something with a waist belt, so you can transfer that weight to your hips, so you don't jack your back all up, right? But I'm sure you have a bag. I'm sure you have something, and if you don't, I'm sure you know somebody who has a spare backpack, or you can go to, a Goodwill store or something and just pick up a backpack, a good, sturdy, canvas or nylon bag. And I mean, even in Walmart, they have bags that aren't very expensive at all. I've shared the story before that I asked Miss Harmony, she was going to Walmart to grab a few things, and I said, hey, I was putting together a bag system. I said, hey, see if they have any cheap backpacks, or cheap rucksacks, or cheap bags, or whatever. And if they do, pick me up one. She said, okay. Well, she came home with, I think it was 17 bags for $30-ish that were all on clearance. So check that clearance aisle at Walmart, right? You never know what you're gonna find. But get you a bag and then start putting things in it. And we're gonna dash across what goes in the bag. And for more in-depth discussion on that, go see my What's in a Bug Out Bag video. You can check out the inch bag video that just posted recently with Matt from APN. You can check out my long range bug out bag part 2 video. Just look all over the Squid and Bear channel. There's lots of that information here. But, there's the Homestead Defender bag also here on this video that you might check that out. But get your bag, start putting stuff in it. The first thing that you should put in there for $20 at Walmart is a Sawyer Mini, okay? And then for about another $15 all told would be a steel water bottle and a steel cup, also in the camping aisle from Walmart, right? So you got your water taken care of. I would also recommend for $8 you get some Aqua Myra water purification tablets, also in the camping aisle in Walmart. Get you a couple of bandanas for pre-filtering, and just because they're good to have, $2 each, right? So, and this doesn't have to be something that you all buy at once. You can do it every pay period. I'm going to come back to this and pay and cash flow. So, water, right? Some food, some calories. I really like, and everybody knows this, I like peanut butter as far as compact calories. A big jar of crunchy peanut butter has 7,000 calories in it. Okay, that's 3 days of rucking. A good rule of thumb is that for maintenance calories, you should try and have about a pound of food a day. 16 ounces in a pound, right? You should have about a pound of food a day for maintenance. For just general light activity, about 1.5 pounds. For more strenuous activity, 1.75 pounds per day. And for real strenuous activity or cold weather, 2 to 2.5 pounds per person per day. And what a lot of people don't realize, especially in cold weather, is you gotta put fuel in the furnace, right? If you want to stay warm, you have to put calories in. It's one of the reasons that people get really cold in the winter when they go to sleep, is they don't eat before they go to bed. And your body just doesn't have the fuel to run on to stay warm. So anywhere between 1 pound to 2.5 pounds of food per day, per person, depending on the situation that you're gonna encounter. All right, so food, water, right? A fixed blade knife, I really like the Mora Companion as a beginner knife, and truth be told, I still have Mora Companions in a lot of my systems because they're just that good. It's like 15 bucks. You can buy Gerber fixed blades. The Gerber Big Rock is $25. I have broken it before, so be selective in what you do, but get you a fixed blade knife. So forth and so on. You know, a little bit of medical would be good to have. Some cover, whether that's a tent or a tarp, or a tent and tarp, a wool blanket, a sleeping bag, a fleece blanket, a whatever, and some clothes, some spare clothes, right? Cordage is going to be some paracord. It's about $8 for 100 feet. I think 2 100-foot hanks is good. I don't think you need more than that, and I really don't like having less than that. So I was talking about this at our presentation at APN, is I like to keep one hank whole, so you have a full 100 feet, and then the other hank, the other small coil of paracord, I cut into 6 foot sections, which adds up to 36 feet, and that leaves 64 feet left over. I cut that into 4 16-foot sections, and then melt the ends with your Bic lighter, which you should have as part of your fire kit, which we'll get to next. Okay, so you melt the ends so that the ends don't fray. If you do need to get the paracord apart so that you can use the internal fibers, filaments, you just cut the ends off. Cut the melted ends off and slide out the internal fibers. Okay, but that way I have some pre-cut, pre-burned cordage for tying tarps, hanging things, whatever, and I'm not constantly cannibalizing my 100-foot hank of paracord. I just keep that whole, and I have that long piece for when I need a long piece, so I don't have to tie lots of the smaller pieces together. And predominantly what I use that for is for hanging my food, which should be in a separate bag inside of your bag. Hanging my food up in a tree if I'm in an area where I know I have to contend with large mammals, large wildlife, big cats, big dogs, big bears. Okay, fire kit, 2 Bic lighters, $1 a piece, storm matches, $3. Ferro rod, ferrocerium rod, $5. That's a decent fire kit. Get you some dryer lint, whatever, right? Do this. Take a paper or take a quart storage Ziploc bag, not a snack size, not a sandwich size, a quart storage Ziploc bag. Get a roll of toilet paper and take it from around and smush it flat, stick it in there and put it in your pack. You'll appreciate it later. Okay, so get your pack ready to go. You got your bug out bag. Cool. And there's lots of good videos on YouTube from me and from everybody else about what should be in a bug out bag. I've said this before. If you see a video where somebody has 20 different things strapped to the outside of their bag, that usually to me tells me that they don't use their gear. It's okay to have a couple things strapped to the outside of your pack. I've got my pack's right back here. I've got my big Ontario RTAC 2 strapped to the side. My boonie hat is strapped to the side, and that's it. And that's because there are two things that I use constantly, right? That hat will come off and go on top of this ugly mug of mine when I need it. But when you see somebody's bag, it's got all these different things attached to it on the outside, it means to me that they don't use their gear, because that stuff rattles, that stuff falls off, that stuff creates momentum on the outside of the bag that as you're walking, it's swaying back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that will throw off your gait as you're walking. It'll hurt your feet a little bit, it'll hurt your back and your hips a little bit, just from that momentum of swinging back and forth, and it doesn't take much. It tends to get caught on things and ripped off your pack, and then you go and you take a break and you drop your pack and you're looking and you're like, where's my fill in the blank? Well, a piece of chain link fence or a tree branch or something snagged it and ripped it off your bag. So I tend to avoid people that have lots of stuff strapped to the outside of their bag as far as listening to their expertise, because it signals to me that they don't use their gear. So all right, moving on. You got a bag, you need a bug out location. Where are you gonna go when it all hits the fan, man? Figure that out. And I would submit figure that out first, so that you know how much food and water carrying capacity you need to get from where you are to where you need to go. It's another thing that I see a lot is people don't have much water carrying capacity. They may have a 1 quart canteen or a 1 liter steel water bottle, and that's a great start. But if you're in an environment where there is not much water to be had, especially in urban and suburban areas, you need to have water carrying capacity. Maybe you add a 3 liter hydration bladder. Maybe it's just some 1 liter smart water bottles, which are basically, impervious. Those are very good water bottles. But you need to carry water carrying capacity with you, so that if you need water, you can carry water when you find it, which I would always rather have more water than I need, because it's basic rule of life, you'll die without it. So get you a bug out location figured out, where you're gonna go, and then you figure out your bug out plan. How do I get from where I am to where I need to be in the shortest amount of time, with the fewest amount of calories expended, and with the least exposure to other people or the elements, okay? And then have 3 or 4 other routes picked out that if you need to improvise, adapt, and overcome, you can. I really like printing aerial maps and binding them in a binder of where I'm starting and where I want to end up, with routes clearly marked on them. Now, there is an OPSEC bro issue there that, that could potentially fall into the enemy hands. But I think a lot of people underestimate how busy the air quote enemy is gonna be when SHTF. So in very rare instances, if something like, the end of the world as we know it was to happen, am I gonna be overly concerned with where somebody else is going, as long as it's not to me or to my people? It doesn't mean I won't take advantage of that information and file it away for potential use later, but I'm not going to harass people and tell me where you're going, as long as I'm not going out looking for that. If they come across my path, then yeah, that's pertinent information to me, but I'm not going to be out carousing, trying to violate other people's OPSEC. I'll put it to you that way. So, bug out bag, bug out location, bug out plan. Next, you should really store some food. And it doesn't have to take a lot of money to do it. But the first thing, okay, figure out where you're going. That doesn't cost you any money. Figure out where you're going. Put a plan together. That costs you very little money. I also carry folded up maps and like printed road maps that are laminated, so they got the plastic on the outside so I don't spill coffee on them and ruin them. Okay, so those are nice to have, right? So figure out where you're going, figure out how you're going to get there, and then once you, and use $0 at this point, maybe $10 on maps. Then put your bag together, and that is going to cost you a couple $100 probably, but you can break it out over the course of several months. Okay, bug out location, bug out plan, bug out bag. Get some food put up at your location, wherever that is. If that's somebody else's house, put some food in 5-gallon buckets. Brother Gordy just did an awesome presentation on this at the APN extravaganza this past weekend. You know, I tried to type extra into my phone yesterday and it kept popping up extravaganza because I texted so many people about that and emailed people about it last weekend. So my phone has learned that I like the word extravaganza. That's cool. But rice right now is cheap, man. About 50 cents a pound. 30-ish pounds in a bucket. 15 bucks. Add in the bucket, the Mylar oxygen absorber. You're maybe $25 all told for 30 days worth of rations for you. That's not much. So get some food put up at your location, wherever you're gonna end up, even if it's, you know, your mom's house or your best friend from high school's house or wherever. Go do that. Be ultra realistic in your capabilities. If your bug out location is, you know, a mountain peak in the Ozarks and you're gonna live underneath a tarp shelter while you and your camp axe hang out and build a log home, but you've never done any of that before, I would caution against it because you'll probably die. And I don't want you to die. I need you, Terry Mack. I need you. All right. So, weapons is probably next on your hierarchy. I don't know where you live. I don't know the legalities and the illegalities of where you live. But I will tell you this, I am never far from a weapon. The gun is a tool, I'm a weapon. I may also be a tool though, I don't know. But I'm never far from a gun. I'm within arm's reach of 3 right now, and I'm in a pickup truck. And one of them lives on my hip. So, get you some weapons and then know how to use them. I don't think I could smash this point into the ground hard enough. Know how to use them. Buying, you know, I see these guys all the time. You know, it's like when Naval Special Forces, certain elements switched over to the Glock 19. Everybody went out and bought Glock 19s because the Navy SEALs use them, man. Glock 19 was an excellent weapons platform before the SEALs decided to use it. And I'm convinced the only reason that they went to the Glock 19 was because they were shaving ounces, and ounces are pounds, right? So, owning a Glock 19 or the new 19X modular military sidearm doesn't mean you're in the military and doesn't mean you have excellent proficiency with the weapon system simply because you own a facsimile of a military weapon. Same thing with an AR-15. Just because you have a military style rifle doesn't mean you have military style capabilities. And that's something that you really need to be honest with yourself about. Everybody needs to be honest with themselves about that, is what are your actual capabilities? Having the gear does not equate to having proficiency with the gear. So go play with your stuff. Go forth and do, okay? The last thing we're gonna talk about, because it's gonna cost you some money. You're gonna have, by the time this is all said and done, several $100s, if not $1,000 into this, okay? And I know you told me you don't have any money. Now, I don't know your situation. I know nothing about you other than your name and the email you sent me. But I do know this, okay? And I'm going to use examples from my life to make a point. I'm not saying that they are directly applicable to your life, but they illustrate a point. It's 6:27 a.m. I just got to work. I walked out of my house at 5:55 a.m. this morning. I got home from work yesterday evening at 8:15 p.m. So it's about 14 hours. And that's about what my Monday through Thursday looks like every week. So 14 hours in 4 days worth of work down here, for me, equates to about 56 hours a week in 4 days of work. Now, some people work way more than that in 4 days. I've worked way more than that in 4 days, and it gets to be a little exhausting at times. But what's not exhausting for me is having the additional income that I need to do the things that I feel compelled and convicted to do for myself, my family, and my friends. That gives me a little bit of extra bandwidth to, hey, rice is on sale. Instead of 50 cents a pound, it's 40 cents a pound. Let's buy 100 pounds. Or beans, or ammo, or fill in the blank, all the prepper things, right? And I have been just throwing money at my homestead up in Oklahoma. So everybody who thinks you're gonna go buy a piece of land and you're gonna carve your own buttons with your camp knife as you sit next to the fire, and get an alpaca and brush its fur and spin it into fibers and crochet the most beautiful sweater you've ever seen with polished black walnut buttons that you hand carved, you better have about 892 hours to dedicate to that process, or a bunch of money, because it all takes time and it all takes money, no matter where you live. But there are things that you can do in your daily life, and I don't know you from Adam, but there's something you can be doing to maximize your time and to maximize your income. And I would recommend to you to critically think, objectively think, get outside of yourself and look from a 90-degree angle from the outside at your life analytically and say, where am I burning money? What am I wasting money on? What am I wasting time on? You know, there's three things in business life, entrepreneurship. There's three things that people strive for. One is location freedom, one is time freedom, and one is financial freedom. Location freedom is about the easiest thing. And that's why when people are like, you don't understand, T, I just can't leave. I can't just get up and leave. Yet you literally can get up and leave. You can literally stand up out of your seat and say, I love you guys. Bye. I'm out. Location freedom is the most easily accomplished goal. The next is time freedom. How do you spend your time? How many hours in the day do you work? And see, it doesn't sound like I have a lot of time freedom, because I'm working from 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, 4 days a week. But 3 days a week, I'm doing whatever the hell I want to do. And what I want to do is be in Oklahoma with the people that I love, working on a piece of property that y'all blessed me with. So, 40%-ish of my week is spent doing what I want to do, the way I want to do it, on my schedule. And then there's financial freedom. And that comes from putting in the time and the effort up front, so that you have the bandwidth on the tail end to say, you know what? I want to buy a Miller Bobcat welder. They're $5,600 or whatever, $5,200. I'm going to buy that. And I realize this is not necessarily preparedness related, but what it is life related. And preparedness is just life. It's a way of life. So there's something you could be doing in your daily walk, your daily life, that will give you more time and more money. And I would encourage you to look objectively at your life to be able to find what that is. What is the secret to success in your life? What opportunities exist that you're not taking? What are you doing that's just a waste of your time? I'm going to give you one more example, and then we're going to put a bow on this and get out of here. I got a guy here who works at this shop. He's a great guy. I love him. He smokes cigarettes constantly, and he is constantly clocking out to hop in his truck, drive off property. We don't allow smoking on the property. Drive off property, go smoke a cigarette, and come back. So not only is he not getting paid for the time that he's not clocked in, but every time he pulls a cigarette out of that box, right, it's 40 cents, 40 cents, 40 cents, at least here in Texas. You know, maybe it's 30 cents or 25 cents elsewhere. Every time he pulls one out, right? So he's getting it on both ends. He's tying up his time. He's wasting his money twice by consuming something that he paid for, and because he's not on the clock earning money. So it's little tiny things like that where we've talked about this before. Victories in the micro on the small scale add up to big victories in the macro on the large scale. So I would encourage you to objectively look at your life and those three things: location freedom, time freedom, financial freedom. Location freedom is the easiest. Time freedom is usually the one that people achieve next, and then financial freedom. But there's things that you can be doing there to maximize what you have to give. All the fuel that you have in the tank every day, you need to be using that, sipping at it as efficiently as possible to maximize the amount of money that you make. And then you'll have a little bit more money to dedicate to preparedness, and a little bit more money is good. Last thought just popped in my head, and then we're out of here. You probably have some stuff that you don't need, and you probably have some stuff that you don't want and don't use. Sell it. Get rid of it. Well, I gave $35 for that baseball bat, and all I'll get is $6 for it. Right now, it's taking up space in your house. You never use it. $6 is $6. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. You can easily, most people can easily find hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of crap in their house that somebody else wants. Sell it. Get rid of it, and use that to fund your preparedness endeavors, or at least to build the foundation for. All right, I got to go inside of here and get some work done. 6:35 a.m. Shalom. I love you guys. We'll talk soon. Bye.